You think truck repairs are expensive now. They're about to get a lot worse. Not 10% worse, not slightly higher, 3 times worse. And the scary part? It's already starting, quietly, across modern trucks. Because what used to be a simple fix is turning into a dealership-only nightmare, and most owners don't see it coming. See, there was a time when fixing a truck was straightforward. Something breaks. You diagnose it, replace the part. Done. But that world is disappearing fast, because today you're not just fixing parts anymore. You're dealing with systems, connected systems, locked systems, software-controlled systems, and that changes everything. Take something simple, a sensor. On older trucks, it's a cheap part. Swap it out, and you're back on the road. But now, that same sensor isn't just a sensor. It's tied into multiple systems. Engine control, safety features, performance settings. And when you replace it, it doesn't just work. It needs calibration, programming, authorization. And suddenly, that simple fix is no longer simple. Now you need special tools, dealer software, access codes, and sometimes a paid unlock from the manufacturer. Let that sink in. You already bought the truck, but now you're paying again just to fix it. And that's where the costs start stacking, because every modern repair has layers. First, diagnostic fees. They plug in a scanner and charge you just to look. Then, software access fees, because the system is locked. Then, calibration costs, because the new part has to be synced. Then finally, the actual repair. And by the time it's done, what used to cost $150 now cost $600, $900, sometimes over $1,500 for the same type of issue. That's not inflation, that's transformation. And it's only getting worse, because manufacturers are pushing control further, locking more systems, restricting more access, limiting independent repair, so fewer people can fix your truck. And when supply goes down, prices go up. Simple. Now add subscriptions into this, because some features in modern trucks aren't permanently active. They're tied to payments, driver assist, navigation, performance modes. And if those systems are involved in a repair, you're not just fixing hardware, you're restoring access, which means more fees, more approvals, more delays. Now imagine this. Your truck throws a warning. You take it in. They tell you it's just a small issue, but the bill? $1,200. Why? Because the system needed recalibration, because software needed updating, because the module needed syncing, not replacing, just syncing. That's the new reality. And here's where it becomes a serious problem. Time. Repairs don't just cost more, they take longer, because everything goes through the dealer. Parts need to be matched, software needs to be verified, systems need to be approved, so your truck sits days, weeks, while costs continue to build, and you're stuck waiting, paying, and dependent. And this isn't an accident. This is the model. Truck companies aren't just selling vehicles anymore. They're controlling ecosystems, closed systems, where every repair, every update, every change goes through them. And that gives them power, pricing power, access control, recurring revenue. So instead of a one-time repair, they create a chain of payments. And once you're inside that system, you can't easily get out. Now here's the breaking point. It's when you realize your truck isn't expensive because it breaks more. It's expensive because of how it breaks. Because even small issues turn into complex processes. And complex processes mean higher costs every time. And once you see that, you start thinking differently. Smart truck owners already do. They don't just ask, how reliable is this truck? They ask, how expensive is it to fix when it fails? Because that's the real question now. Not if it breaks, but what happens when it does. And in today's trucks, that answer is getting more expensive by the year. But there is a way to stay ahead of it, a way to avoid getting trapped in this system. And once you understand it, you'll never look at truck repairs the same way again. Make sense. Because once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. It's not one big change. It's hundreds of small ones, small restrictions, small locks, small dependencies that slowly build into something much bigger. Every new model that comes out feels more advanced, more powerful, more intelligent. But underneath that, it's becoming more controlled, less open, less flexible, less yours. Because modern trucks aren't just machines anymore. They're platforms, and platforms are designed to be managed, to be updated, to be monitored, to be restricted, not by you, but by the people who built them. And that changes the relationship completely. You're no longer just the owner, you're the user. And users don't have full control. They have access. Access that can be limited. Access that can be modified. Access that can be taken away. And the moment a repair involves that system, you feel it. Because now it's not about fixing something broken. It's about getting approval to make it work again. And approvals always come with a cost. More steps, more waiting, more money. That's why a simple issue today turns into a full process. Diagnosis, verification, authorization, calibration, and every step adds another charge, another delay, another reminder that you're not in control anymore. And here's the part most people miss. This isn't about trucks failing more. In fact, some of them are better than ever, stronger, smarter, more efficient. But when they do fail, they fail differently, in ways that pull you deeper into the system, where every solution leads back to the dealer, back to the software, back to the lock. And once you're there, you don't have many choices, because independent repair is slowly being pushed out. Tools are restricted, software is locked, information is limited, so fewer people can fix the problem. And when fewer people can fix something, the price goes up every time. That's not an accident, that's design. A system where control stays centralized and costs keep expanding. So over time, you don't just pay for repairs, you pay for access, you pay for permission, you pay to stay inside the system that you never realized you entered. And once you understand that, everything changes. You stop looking at horsepower, at screens, at features, and you start looking at something else entirely. Freedom. The freedom to fix, the freedom to choose, the freedom to avoid unnecessary costs. Because in the end, the real value of a truck today isn't how advanced it feels, it's how much control it leaves in your hands. And once you start thinking that way, you're no longer just buying a truck. You're deciding whether you want ownership or permission.